Welcome to another edition of SJHL Insider. I'm Clark Monroe, your host. We are inside the IKS Media Studios, which is good because it is cold outside today, and it's nice and cozy in here. So we're good to go for another edition of SJHL Insider. A big week in the league. 4 games so far this week, so we'll recap those. Look ahead to I think it's a 9-game weekend. Actually, 8 games because one got moved. We'll talk about that. But it should be a good weekend regardless. We're going to be joined by one of the captain of one of the hottest teams in the league right now, Cole Tanchuk of the Flin Flon Bombers. Plus, we're going to look at the top scoring defensemen. Speaking of defensemen in the league, the standings, because there's been, it's just insane, the standings in this league right now. We're going to look at our SJHL Fantasy League standings, which is interesting. There's been some shifting on that as well. And Movember standings. So this is, if the theme of today is anything, it's standings. We're going to look at a lot of standings. And whatever else comes up. We actually have some viewer questions as well we're going to get to later in the show. But first, before we do any of that, we got to thank our sponsors, of course. And that's Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lotteries, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, the sponsor of our fine broadcasts, of course, SGU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Thank you to all those sponsors. And thank you to this guy, Jamie Neugebauer, for always coming in and putting a smile on everybody's face when he does. He joined us earlier today and came in and watched a bit of our previous broadcast that we were working on, and we've been chatting a little bit here today. It's going to be a good show, Nugsy. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, we got a packed show. Show. I got 2 things to say here right off the hop.
Yep.
One is a comment.
Okay.
First is, boy, are we all going to get a lot of mail whenever that strike is over.
Oh, my God.
We're all going to get tons of mail. I hope my mailbox doesn't break. The second thing is more of a comment question, and I'll ask you the question.
Okay.
Would you rather, and I was thinking about this on the way here, would you rather live in a place where it's hard to find parking or it costs money to park, or a place where they don't plow as often as you'd like?
Right. Yeah.
Because I moved from a place where it's hard to find parking, and it's, you get tickets and whatnot in Toronto, but but they plow all the time.
Yeah.
And here, they're better today. They've been better plowing, but in Regina, but you can park anywhere you want.
Can I make you really jealous really quick?
Sure.
The building I live in, the parking lot just got completely cleaned. Completely, like top to bottom, side to side, parking spots, like individual parking spots mowed. Like, mowed. That's not it. It's not summertime. But it's fantastic. I'm going to say, plowed. I'm going to say, I hate finding parking. So I'm going to say I have a good winter vehicle. So I'm going to say I'd be okay with the not plowed street. But I also hate it scares the crap out of me driving down a street that's not plowed, because you get stuck on one of those streets. It's so embarrassing. Everybody's looking at you and they're out their living room windows. Oh, it's the worst.
Well, it's two not good things. But I'm with you. I would rather live here.
I also hate paying for parking.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't. Man, if when I moved here, living here, I've gotten speeding tickets.
Yep.
And in Toronto, I got parking tickets. So I spent a lot of money on tickets.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. Nugsy, you've had a busy week, and we're going to get into it now with our Prairie Proud hat trick. Prairie Proud, awesome company. Jacob, I know he's listening. He always listens to this broadcast and this program. Jacob, we need to get the Prairie Proud gear so we can have it in the studio here. So if you have any or can get some soon, please send it in, Jacob. And Cole, if you're listening from Prairie Proud, let's get it in here. I want to show off your stuff because they've got great stuff. I've been seeing their ads on my Facebook, and you know what? I click on them all the time because their stuff looks so darn good. So I want to get some of that stuff in here. So let's get on it. Topic one, of course, is the recap of the games this week. Nugsy was involved in 2 of them. So we'll start with Tuesdays. All of the road teams won on Tuesday, including Yorkton, because they didn't have to make the bus trip to Weyburn.
Right.
So in a way, they won.
They didn't win. Yeah.
No, they didn't win. I'm saying they won because they didn't have to make the road trip.
Sure.
But Battleford's, now it should say 4-3 in a shootout. It would be super funny if they won 4-2 in a shootout, but that's not it. 4-3 over Nipawin, in Nipawin. Melfort won 4-3 in LaRange over the Ice Wolves, and Kindersley tripled up the Hounds 6-2. And then on Wednesday, we don't have a graphic for it, but that's fine. The Hounds got their revenge right away. One of those things where it's like, it's really nice that they didn't have to wait too long. They were able to get right back out there, get a win. And we'll get into that in a second over the Humboldt Broncos. But let's start with Tuesday night, Nugsy. Battleford's won 4-3, and they've now jumped up into second place in the standings, actually, and we'll talk about the standings in a little bit here. But 2-point nights from Fidley Radloff and Mason Krakachuk, and a 29-save effort from Gage Roberts wasn't quite enough as the North Stars pulled off the 4-3 shootout win with Braden Nienaber notching the game winner in the shootout. Connor Bomback got the win with 30 saves in this one, Nugsy. A great effort, though, by the Nipawin Hawks, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it was the first period was one of the best periods of the season for Nipawin. They outshot Battlefords, had all sorts of grade A chances, and you talk to people in Battlefords, and they're really high on Connor Bombeck. Like, honestly, and, you know, I hope it's okay that I go down this road, but Battlefords could have theoretically had Justin Merrick and Logan Cunningham in net, and they said, you know what, let's do the smart thing for today and for tomorrow, and let's stick with Justin Merrick, obviously, and, you know, ride with Connor Bombeck, and we'll send Logan Cunningham somewhere else. And they could have, you know, had two veteran guys like that, and who cares about tomorrow? But smart move by Battlefords, because I really like Connor Bombeck. One of those many good 06 birth year goaltenders in the league that we have, young goaltenders. You know, great speed through the neutral zone. I saw through Nipawin. Tad Cozen's teams always have that speed element. It's other details that they've had to work on. But Battlefords, you know, has to be said, they're the second best team in the league when it's, you know, chips are down, 1-goal hockey game. They kind of let it go. They let Nipawin tie it with 10.4 seconds left on the clock. The only Carter Anderson left standing in the SJHL. By the way, he's one of the underrated guys in the league too.
Yeah, it's truly. I saw a tweet the other night that was like, Carter Anderson, I think, was it our recap even? It was Carter Anderson does whatever, and I'm like, oh, right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I mean, he's his 7th of the year. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 games. I mean, you know, he's a pretty clutch guy. Scored on a breakaway in the winning game that they won against the Humboldt Broncos in Humboldt too.
Right.
You know, man, over the course of 60 minutes, the Battlefords North Stars, they shoot themselves in the foot, or they shoot you in the foot. Like they either beat you or beat themselves a lot, and it's interesting. And, you know, I love them. I love the way they're built, but they just don't take those chances. They don't make life easy on themselves, and they let, you know, Nipawin kind of hang around in this one. And kudos to the Hawks for sticking with it, finding a way to dig deep and at least get into a shootout. Beautiful shootout winner by Braden Nienaber.
Yeah, and, you know, I hate to say quietly, because they're second place in the league now.
Yeah.
But quietly, the North Stars have gotten points in 8 of their last 10 games. They're just playing, like you said, kind of just that hockey that they can shoot themselves in the foot, but they often just find ways to get a point or to get points, or, you know, 5-2, 2-1 in their last 10 games. So, and before that, like, they were, you know, 7 wins in their last 10 games just not that long ago. So, it's no wonder they're in second place, but it's almost like, oh, they're in second place. Like, when I saw the standings today, when I clicked it open, I was like, oh, Battlefords is in second.
Yeah.
Crazy. Because you think of teams like Yorkton and Weyburn, who have been so hot, and Flin Flon, who's now jumping up the standings, and, you know, a team like Humboldt or Melville, who were up at the top not that long ago, and now they're all the way, and we'll get into this in a sec, promise.
Yeah.
But you know, you see Battlefords up there, and you're like, oh, all right, cool. So I don't know. It's I'm gonna say it's weird, but at the same time, it's not, because they've just been playing solid hockey all year.
The Battlefords does go to overtime more than any other team in the league. They have 6 overtime games, and they are 9-0-2-1 when they score the first goal. So they've not lost in regulation when they score the first goal still,
Battlefords,
which is so impressive. So yeah, it works. And you know what? Again, I always go back to the leadership. I know Marty Smith is doing a great job.
Yeah.
But I go back to the leadership. Jack Allen and Jordan Grill, these are championship players and winners and leaders and types of kids you want. And when the chips are down, they don't get too low, they don't get too high. They just say, next shift, we're up, we're going hard. And they find a way, and have had lots of guys. As Rory said on the show, I'll give him the credit. He said, you know, how many guys on Battlefords are either doing with their job or overachieving?
Yeah.
That's pretty much everybody. Nobody's kind of worse than we thought. So big time kudos to Battlefords for finding a way, and big time kudos for Nipawin for continuing this upward trajectory that they're on.
Yeah, we don't give Rory credit for much, but we'll give him credit for that. I agree. And it's just kind of, like I said, it's one of those interesting storylines this year where it's like, oh, Battlefords. Oh, cool. And you know, it's so funny with how dominant Melfort and Battlefords has been in the last, you know, 3 or 4 years. They're in first and second place.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, how do they keep getting away with this?
Yeah.
But they do. They keep getting away with it.
recruitment.
Exactly.
Rick Oakes in Melfort,
Programs.
Wiley Riendeau in Battlefords.
Yeah.
Those two guys deserve way. Sorry, what would you say?
I'm just saying programs.
Yeah, programs. Those two guys deserve way more credit than they could possibly get. And, Wiley, again, year after year, diamonds in the rough, high school in North Dakota, or, double A in Medicine Hat, like Tanner Gold or whatever. Yeah. Like, he finds gems. Amazing.
They just keep getting away with it. And speaking of that, Melfort, let's look at Melfort's game now. 4-3 win over Larange. 35 saves each by Christian Coombs and Graham Brown would make it feel like it was a goalie duel, but the Mustangs held on to a 4-3 victory with goals from Will Monroe, not related to me. Nick Andrusiak, Logan Belton, and Danton Cox. Nathan De Silva had a 3-point night for the Ice Wolves that night, but it wasn't quite enough. As, again, the road team got another win, and Melfort's been so solid everywhere, but they've been pretty good on the road too, Nugsy.
Yeah, man. Like we, sung Melfort's praises a lot on SJHL Weekly last time, and for good reason. Look, they're 11-0 when they lead after one period of play, Clark. 11-0.
Talk about locking it down.
When they lead after one, they're 11-0 in one-goal games. Yeah. Like they have not lost a one-goal game all year. Now, I was speaking to a few people, and do I think they have the same amount of high-end, explosive, electric offense that they did last year? I think a few teams maybe have the types of players of Ryan Duguay and Aiden Hutchinson in the league this year. Anyways, obviously Zach Summers has been solid, maybe not elite per se, but he's been really good and consistent for Melfort this year, and he's coming back from a long-term injury, so fair enough. But they're 11-0 when they lead after one. They're 13-0 when they leave after two. They're 5-0 when they're tied after one. Mm-hmm. Like, I can go on and on. They're 8-1 when they outshoot the opponent. Like, this Melfort Mustangs team is just so fundamentally good. And they went up to the Mel Hagelin Uniplex, Clark, and what do we talk about when you go to the Mel all the time in Larange? There's going to be scoring chances. Scoring chances. Small rink. Yeah. You're going to get good chances. They held the Larange Ice Wolves in this game to 7 quality scoring chances. Like, nobody knows that rink and the funky bounces and the weird voodoo on the ice like the Larange Ice Wolves, obviously, because they practice there. But in order to hold Larange to 7, high, like 0.1 expected goal chances and higher in the Mel Hagelin Uniflex is wild. But give Larange a lot of credit. We've been giving it to them. They deserve it. It was a playoff style game. If this was a 7-game series, I'd sign up to watch it. Over the years, Trevor Blevins' teams, no matter how good they've been, no matter how, whether there's been a struggle or not for Larange, it's always been a war, absolute war on ice, two teams that don't like each other. It's a lot of fun, obviously, both Sherwood division teams. Hey, when the chips are down, pretty or ugly, Melfort wins. That's the way the world works this year.
That's the way the world works. Yep. You mentioned Melfort maybe doesn't have that super high-end scoring punch maybe that they did last year, because obviously they had one of the best lines. Yeah, I don't want to say in SJHL history, but pretty close.
Yeah, like in my time, kind of like you have Dole and Southgate and Bell,
of course,
and then you have like the Sleva, Hutchinson, Duguay line, and
it's right there.
Those are like 1A, 1B probably.
Honestly, they're up there. Yeah. If not top 2, top 5, they're in that conversation 100%. Now, what I was going to say was, it wasn't too long ago, or it wasn't too far after today, last year. So 1 year ago today, it wasn't too far from this time of the year that they pulled off that Clay Sleva trade in Melfort. Is there another trade that Trevor Blevins is cooking up? Because we know, and we've talked, I've asked Trevor Blevins straight up on this show, I think it was on this show, or on his season preview show, either way, you're not a heavy trader. You like who you got, you bring in your crew, you kind of let them ride most of the time. But he's also known to make a big move when he needs to, or when he feels the need to. Last year it was the Clay Sleva trade, and Yorkton's getting the payback for that in spades this year with Thomas Reese and David Coyle. Cale Johns could come along the line as well. Who knows? We'll see. Is there a trade like that out there this year with a younger team or something like that, where maybe Melfort goes and snags a guy? Because we talk about the program that they have there and the recruiting that they have there. They have a crop of players that could be enticing for a younger team out there. I'm not saying any names, or a team that wants to look ahead to next year or the year after or whatever. Where you could see like, okay, maybe we'll do another big Clay Sliva-esque trade. Now, this isn't the trade speculation show. Not yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I'm just saying, it was about this time last year where that trade happened. So who knows? We'll have to see how that goes. I'm just bringing it up because I love talking about it.
No, there's no trade like that.
No?
No.
Well, we'll see.
Not between two SJ
Nugsy,
teams.
we're trying to create, speculation. We're trying to.
Well, there's lots to talk about with trades, but I just don't think there's a Clay Sliva type trade.
Nugsy, just for the record, can you just say that there will be a trade, and
there'll be trades.
We're going to talk about it on future episodes of SJ.
Trades.
No, I'm just bugging
sure.
you. I'm bugging you.
Yeah.
But I know that to that proportion, maybe not. But I'm wondering if Melfort maybe dives into the trade market because this is the time. Because again, Trevor Blevins usually has one big one up his sleeve, and it's usually before the trade deadline.
You don't want to do what Mike Reagan did last year. Again, love Mike.
No, I'm not saying.
But the Bombers
4 or
were
5
so
trades.
dominant.
Yeah.
I don't know if they needed to make any trades.
Right. I'm not saying 4 or 5 trades.
I don't know if Trevor Blevins needs to make a trade. I believe with all my heart that this Melfort Mustangs team, as constructed right now, can win the Kinterra Seeds Cup.
Well, I think you could make the argument that last year they might have been in a similar position, but they still made that one move, and it even put them up over the top even more.
I think last year they were so volatile with health and
of course. But that was all after the Clay Sliva trade.
It was all year. It was all year.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Either way, fun to talk about.
Yep.
Let's move on now. Kindersley on Tuesday night got a 6-2 win over Notre Dame. Nugsy, I know you don't want to relive this one too much because you were in the building for it. But Marko Djordjevic notched 2 goals.
Yeah.
We good? Is that on me? Do you hear that too?
What? I don't hear anything.
You don't hear anything?
I'm fine, yeah.
Everything just went haywire on my side. I'm just going to keep talking because I'm assuming everything's fine. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Something's going on my side. I don't want to bring it up anymore. But Marko Djordjevic notched 2 goals. But other than that, Nugsy, it was all Clippers as they skated away with a 6-2 win on Tuesday night. Cody Jamin got the win with 16 saves, Nugsy. And I said this to you before the show started, but in a 6-2 game, you would anticipate the shots would be pretty high, at least for one of the teams. But really, overall, 18 shots for Notre Dame, and was it 29 shots total for Kindersley? Mm-hmm. So you're looking at a game that had less than, quick math, 50 shots, but it was 6-2. It was 8 goals scored. That's a big number overall. But an interesting game nonetheless in terms of...
so it's my job to be positive, right? So to some degree.
Yes.
But I'll just say it once. It was like the worst hockey game I've ever seen. But anyways, moving on. That's not true. I've seen really bad ones. It was one of the worst
It's my job
SJHL
to stay
games
positive
I've ever seen.
But
anyways, we're moving on. The Perlingers, when they're in the lineup for Kindersley, like they weren't the week before, and Kindersley still found a way to win one of the 2 against Notre Dame last week without them.
Yeah.
But when they are in versus when they are out, it is such a huge difference. And I just love them. They get under your skin. Mm-hmm. Clearly, Kindersley got under Notre Dame's skin. That is the way the Clippers want to go. The Clippers got under Melfort's skin in the 2 games on the weekend, and the Mustangs, as we talk about, still found a way to win the hockey game. In the second period, Marko Djordjevic looked like he was going to score 6 goals by himself. He scored 2 beauties, and then he had 2 or 3 more chances hit the post. Like he was just absolutely flying. But really, 19 out of 20 Hounds did not show up on the night. Just to be 100% honest, Marko, again, absolutely terrific. He's been terrific all year, whether he's putting the puck in the net or whether he's taking faceoffs. He's won 322 faceoffs. That's 18 more than second. He's taken 558 faceoffs. That's 19 more than second. He's had 493 shifts. That's about 20 more than any other forward in the league. Like Marko just keeps doing it night in, night out. He was a little bit quieter actually yesterday, which I think the fact that the Hounds still won, even though he was a little quiet, I think is good news for the Hounds. But the Clippers, hey, you know what? They came in, they did their job. They got under their Hound skin. Will Christian with the Gordie Howe hat trick got in a little bit of a fight there with Ripley Garden, who was trying to stick up for a teammate. And you know what? The Clippers, again, they did what they needed to do. They came in and won. And it was, rough November for Kindersley. Crazy schedule, but they needed to, they had 3 against Notre Dame, and they needed to take care of business. They knew that. Those were the the games that that they really, really, really needed. And for the Clippers, it was Game 7. Didn't matter if it was pretty or ugly or what. It was Game 7 and find a way to win a hockey game, and that's what they did. Just like they did in the second game of the 2 last week. So, was Cody Jamin great? Didn't need to be.
Didn't need
to
be.
Like Spencer Borsos, and not often do I say like he wasn't terrific, and he wasn't terrific. But the one last thing I'll say about it is I know Clayton Jardine wants this Kindersley special teams, both power play and penalty kill, to be a lot better. They need to be a lot better. But they made a big move, and I talked about it. Avery Johnson coming in from Drumheller. Since they brought him in, they've scored a power play goal in every game that Avery's played in. So, you plug and play an elite player like that, only knows 6. He missed a bunch of time because he was waiting for a trade, sitting up there in Drumheller in the AJ.
Right.
So he's come in. To me, he's a D1 caliber talent. So he's already helping Kindersley, and they did what they needed to win.
There you go. Now, I'm going to move on to Wednesday's game, because how nice was it to see a team that wasn't the Kindersley Clippers for a change? Because it seems like Notre Dame's been playing Kindersley forever. So you got to see Humboldt, and by all accounts, and Nugsy, I'll let you fill me in on this, because I saw the score last night, and I was like, oh, yeah, okay, cool. Notre Dame got a 4-3 win over Humboldt. That's a big win for you guys. And I say you guys, I mean Notre Dame, obviously. But a big game by Spencer Borsos, 35 saves. While Ty Matanovich had 28, but the Hounds snuck out a 4-3 victory with Anthony Nolan getting the game-winning goal. What's your nickname for him? The Smasher?
The Masher.
The Masher.
Yeah.
Smasher would work, but Masher's
He's a big
good.
hitter. I love him, and I had a GM from another team in the league saying they were going to recruit him too, and they're like, "Oh, what a miss!" You messed up. Like, he's awesome. So.
Yeah, he's good. I've seen him live a couple times now, and he's a solid player. So that's a good pickup and a big, nice goal for him. And I'm guessing the guys had to feel a little weight off their shoulders after what happened on Tuesday night to get the win on Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean, the Hounds tried to give it away, right? But so Rory and I were talking. Of course, Rory was there because the Humboldt Broncos broadcaster, and we were he was frustrated with the body language and the lack of energy and emotion on the Humboldt bench. And yes, the Broncos are used to the rockin' EPA, and a lot of the rinks in this league are jumping and loud and whatnot, and Duncan McNeil's not. So you need to create your own emotion, your own energy, and the Broncos didn't do that. They were flat as a pancake for 35 minutes, and part of that was certainly the Hounds came out absolutely flying. And these details, can you get yourself going? Can you get the juice going? Can you get the energy going right away? Can you get involved and be focused and be present? That's so hard in every sport. You know that as a baseball player.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're up there hitting and you're not anywhere else, then you're not going to succeed. Like, you need to be present in order to be successful. And I saw that when the Hounds came out, walked down the walkway and came out for warm up. Like, they came out hard in warm up. And does that everything? Not necessarily, but it was such a great sign, a great thing to see. Yeah. Finally, the Hounds show up. First period, they were flying. It was 3-0 Hounds. It was 4-0. The Hounds had a goal called off. The Broncos, then, they have so much talent. I was talking to Jacob Streetsy about the fact that he'll be right at home playing in Wilcox because he played for the North York Rangers in the OJHL. And in the North York Rangers, of course, I broadcasted for them for a long time, and Streetsy played there, Olympic ice at the Herb Carnegie Centennial Arena. So he was right at home. Boy, was he wonderful. And the Broncos, part of me, were a shot here or there, a chance here or there away from winning that game. But certainly, Vinny Palmerine was kind of back to his own self. Liam Hunks was terrific as usual, and they found a way to win. And 40 seconds left, the Masher with his parents in town, Bar Downski, where Mama hides the cookies. Gotta love it.
He got a couple cookies then. So, speaking of Paul Marine and Hunks, let's look at topic number 2 now. Segway, the league's top scoring defenseman. Because they're both on this list, those two guys. Max Chakrabarty leads the way. Very interestingly, as Kelly Lewick, our graphic designer, was making this, he said, did you guys know that of Max Chakrabarty's 20 points, 15 of them are power play points? So literally 3/4 of his points are on the power play, which can be looked at in 2 ways. One, he's extremely effective on the power play. Can't be mad about that.
No.
But 2, a lot of his points are on the power play, whereas a lot of these guys' points are 5-on-5. But either way, Max Chakravarty is tied with Trey Fouquet leading the way. Rylan Silzer still leads the league in goals by a defenseman, tied with Tyler Palin, who's not on this list for the Yorkton Terriers at 7. Liam Hunks is having a heck of a season right now, 18 points in 23 games. Jackson Herchak is tied with him, same amount. Vinny Palmerine, point per game basically, since his return to the Notre Dame Hounds earlier this year. 17 points in 18 games. Ty Thornton's right there. Gavin Granger's right there. Nathan De Silva with 3 points on Tuesday night has moved up into this conversation. Nick Andrusiak, he got a goal on Tuesday night as well. And Thomas Reese, who's not on this list, but he's tied with that 15-point group as well. So a lot of really good scoring defensemen, Nugsy. Any thoughts when you see that list?
Okay, I'm going to get some eye rolls.
Oh, boy.
That's
Here we go.
fine.
Here we go.
Prepare your eyes to roll.
Yep.
And I tell my wife all the time that she's the most beautiful woman in the world.
I'm not rolling my eyes at that. Is that what you meant?
Don't roll your eyes at that. Don't. I will have a problem.
No eye rolls.
But she says, oh, you're biased. And I said, I'm biased. Absolutely. Everybody's biased about everything.
It's true.
But I am educated. Biased, but educated. And I would not take any defenseman in the SJHL this year over Liam Hunks.
Yeah.
To me, he is the best defenseman in the league. He's not the biggest, but he outmuscles people.
He's not small.
He's not small, but he's 5'11", maybe 6 feet. He's not outmuscled by anybody. He's not outworked by anybody. He's not outcompeted by anybody. He gets away from every forecheck like he's not a problem. Like he creates. His hands are incredible. He's in the right position all the time. And when the Hounds aren't defending 3/4 of the game, and he has the energy in the tank to be creative and go out and be himself, that's when you see him. And sometimes people are like, oh, you didn't do much, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you're defending that much, it's hard to go out and be creative and expressive.
For sure.
But if he was in a situation, and when he is in the situation where the team around him is playing, man, is he so much fun to watch. There are kids you watch, Clark, and you're just like, what a treat it is to get to watch a kid on a nightly basis. And to me, like, I honestly, there are great players in this league. I love Oakley McElwain. He'll probably be on Team Canada West, the World Junior Challenge, and Totally Fair. And Josh Carman is a plus-minus beast in this league. And you go down that list that was just on the screen. There's a lot of good guys. So I'm not saying it's not a hard competition.
Cole Tanchuk.
Yeah. I just wouldn't take anybody over Liam Hunks. I really wouldn't. You can call me biased and roll your eyes if you want, but I'm biased but educated.
That's fine. I said Cole Tanchuk because he's our guest today.
Yeah, love Cole.
And I think he's listening right
now. Big
fan. Let's have a look at the standings. We still have a couple things just to kind of rattle through here before we get to our interview here. As you can see, the Battleford's North Stars, not that long ago, were down in the 6, 7, 8 range. They're now in second place behind the Melfort Mustangs, who now have a 6-point cushion for first place. And then from second to ninth, it's separated by 3 points. There's 7 teams in that list. Second to ninth, it's 3 points. Battleford's 28, Weyburn 27, Yorkton 26, and then you have 5 teams tied at 25 points. Flin Flon being one of them. They've won 6 games in a row. LaRange is right there. Humboldt, Melville, and Kindersley all with 25 points. Kindersley, of course, were not at that point. They got the win on Tuesday, which pushed them into that conversation. Humboldt could have gotten out of that conversation, but they lost on Wednesday night to Notre Dame. And then Estevan, still with the fewest games played across the league, with 19 games played only. They have 17 points right now. Lots of time for them to kind of pick up some ground and gain some ground. Notre Dame, they don't go away. I don't think they're necessarily, and nobody's out of the conversation yet with the way the league's going this year. So I'm not saying anything there, but they have been. Let's look at the division standings now, because I always say this about Notre Dame: 4-5-1 in their past 10, as you can see in the bottom right corner there of this graphic. But I still feel like they're doing okay. Those Notre Dame Hounds, Nugsy, they won't go away. So I love that. But you look at a team like the Yorkton Terriers, 8-2 in their last 10 games. They are rolling right now. They're right in that conversation for top team in the league. Absolutely. Weyburn, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. Melfort, 8-2 in their last 10 games. Flin Flon, 7-3 with 6 wins in a row. So you see some teams really starting to ramp it up. And you see some teams on that list as well that was just on the screen that you say, okay, let's put the boots back on, boys. It's time to get back to work. So there's a couple teams in that conversation as well when it comes to the division standings. Anything you want to touch on in the standings?
Yeah, just it's interesting. Like I kind of posed you and Rory the question on SJHL Weekly a couple of weeks ago. It was like, is Weyburn the super team this year? And my answer right now is no. And I'm not going to insult Weyburn. I don't mean anything against Weyburn. I just mean that Melfort is the super team in the league right now, and they're doing it a little differently than the other teams that were the super teams, just because they don't blow the doors off people like the Flin Flons and the Battlefords did a couple of years ago, but just in terms of the way they do everything right.
Absolutely.
So
now, how much of this is recency bias because Weyburn hasn't played a game in like 2.5 weeks?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, great. It's a great point. But
now, hopefully,
just
they get
consistency over the whole year too. But
they got to get that ammonia leak fixed out there in Weyburn. Now that has, just for the record, just so we can get this out of the way, they had a game scheduled for tomorrow against Humboldt, and that has been pushed to Monday, just so they can get this. They had an arena issue, folks. They're getting it worked on. They're fixing it. It takes a couple of days to get it all fixed and figured out. So once that happens, but they have moved the game tomorrow to Monday.
And you forget, too, that Weyburn was supposed to play, I believe it was Melville, and the weather got in the way, too. So Weyburn just keeps getting the games
Feels like they haven't played a game in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So anyways, Weyburn, we haven't forgotten about you. Trust.
Not at all.
Trust us. You're good. But let's have a look now for topic 3. We're going to do 2 more things really quick, and then we'll get to our guest here. Topic 3 is the SJHL Fantasy League standings, which, as you can see, the IKS Crusaders are still leading the way. Of course, Caden Drury was their first overall pick. Dustin Renas was their last overall pick. Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Logan Belton's leading the way. Logan Belton, their third-place player, has more points than anyone on my team. But that's okay because I have a very balanced team. I'm team balanced this year. Everybody's doing really well on my team. Nugsy's in third, but like it's basically neck and neck. It's basically tied. Of course, he's getting huge contributions from Jerron Denwaye, Jacob Streechy, Jerome Maharaj. Basically, anyone whose name starts with a J is doing really well.
With a J.
Exactly. There's a theme there. Finding Rory, that's Roy McGoran's team. I can foresee him catching up. However, massive blow to team finding Rory. Of course, the news is out there. There's no hiding it anymore. Carter Anderson from the Flin Flon Bombers has departed the team to the BCHL, so he is no longer available for Team Rory. We have the IKS Crusaders checking in from the back. How's it going, guys?
I got 2 beefs.
2 beefs?
Yeah. We're in the 200 club. Yeah, short of Jacob Cassette a point.
Oh.
And my second beef is with Nugsy from what he said on the show on Monday. I actually have a clip.
Roll the clip?
Yeah, it's about Jackson Herchak here.
Oh, wow.
Jackson Herchak leads defensemen in scoring. We did this one in our first segment when we did this. We're carrying it over to this time. He's currently, I think it's 4th right now. And there's a couple of good players ahead of him. But Nugsy, I'll start with you on this one. Sustainer object that he will lead the league in defensive scoring.
Yeah, I object. Like, that's not, like, I love Jackson in all ways. It's not, points are not his game. He gets points through the way that he plays. He plays the right way. He gets points because he's on the power play and because he's a great player, but it's not really, he's not an offensive defenseman.
Wow.
Okay, so he's third in scoring for defensemen, right? Okay. So, Jackson, don't listen to Nugsy. You can do both. You can score, and you can play defense.
Oh, yeah.
I was wondering where you're going with that, because I'm like...
I didn't say he couldn't score. I just said I didn't think he was going to lead the league in points.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say that's... At the next level, I don't think that's... But, I mean, I love that you did that.
If there's
I love that you guys did that. That's great.
If there's 2 things that Bryce is good at, it's directing shows and keeping receipts.
Yeah.
That's great.
He remembers.
Excellent work, Crusaders. I love it.
Yeah. So the IKS Crusaders, they have some beef. And boys, if you want to shred that beef and have some sandwiches later, let's have some beef sandwiches.
Hirsch knows where to find me. He's got my digits.
Yeah.
If you want to yell
bulletin
at me,
board
Hirsch,
material.
You can
He's
yell
just
at me,
throwing darts at your face on a bulletin board right now.
He probably is. No, nicest kid, one of the nicest kids in the league.
For sure.
Probably. So.
Absolutely. Love that. And you know what? Shout out to our friend Scott Roblin, who works for Global Saskatoon. Right. He just did a feature on the SJHL and all this NCAA stuff, and Jackson Herchak was featured in that.
As was Liam Hunks.
As was Liam Hunks. So go check that out. It's on Twitter. If you check out Scotty Roblin or the Global Saskatoon, I think, page, you can find it there. And also shout out to Jacob Carr, who I played high school football agained back in the day. He's also a reporter for Global Regina here, and he did the camera work, who I think you might have seen.
Yeah, I hooked it up for him. He got in touch with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Jacob Carr, great guy as well. Finally, before we move on, the Movember standings, we'll check out the league leaderboard here. We need to hit 20,000. So if you're listening or watching, you can see the leaderboard here. The teams are doing great. We have just a few days left before this is over. So get in those donations. If you see it on the screen now, there's a QR code. You can go right to it or go to Movember.com and search Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League. Get those donations in. There's only a few days left. We have some pictures of some players around the league, Nugsy, if you want to just touch on these ones.
Yeah, Danton Cox, great
good
farm boy with a good stash. There's Antonio DePaolo there on the bench, 25-year-old, former Humboldt Bronco. Laurent Geisholf just wrote an article about him, in fact. Henry Smith there with a great muzzy, and the guy who we're going to talk to here in a second, Cole Tanchuk,
sorry, Cole.
having a friendly conversation there. But Henry Smith was a great muzzy there. Yeah. And let's move it on. There's Liam Hunks. And that's as close to a smile as Liam will give me, though I have gotten him to smile a lot more this year. And Mr. Landon Stromey, the captain of the Humboldt Broncos, who's looked about 38, 39 years old his whole life, probably came out of his mother's womb with a great mustache. So there you go.
Yeah, Landon Stromey. He's
shout out Jolene Stromey. Great people. Told me that my Flow Hockey broadcast was working fine last night.
Oh, good.
Appreciate it.
Love the Stromey family. And they're from
Choiceland,
which is Jacob
near Nipawin.
Faith has some connections to the
his
Stromeys.
His uncle, I believe, has a property there.
There you go. Small world, this province we live in. But we're going to head on the video chat now. He's been waiting, so let's not make him wait any longer. He's been waiting for a bit. Sorry about that, Cole. Cole Tanchuk from the Flin Flon Bombers. Cole, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Patience is key. Your poise is showing, Cole, as you made you wait like 15 minutes there to join us on the show. But let's dive into this recent winning streak for you guys. 6 straight wins. Can you walk us through what's been going right for the Bombers as of late?
Yeah, it's been awesome. We've had a couple good weeks of practice here, and it's been showing in our games.
That's awesome. And, I talked to your head coach and general manager, Mike Reagan, a few weeks ago at the Junior A showcase there in Warman. And, we talked about the start to the season. Obviously, probably in terms of wins and losses, probably wasn't what you wanted on paper, but dealing with some adversity early on in the year, I'm going to guess after how last year went, which there was adversity, but it was later in the year. Can you discuss the start of the season and what it meant for you guys to maybe go through a little bit of a tough go, but at the end of the day, now you're turning it around. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, we had a couple tough weeks there, but we were losing games that I think we should have been winning. That Weyburn weekend there, we probably could have taken both those games, but a little adversity at the start of the season isn't too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. And just, Nugsy, sorry, before you get in, can you relate it to last year, Cole? Because obviously you've been in the league 4 years now, and last year was a special year. Regardless of how it ended or anything, it was a special year for you guys. Winning all the way through, and then kind of in the second half of the year, some stuff changed, some stuff happened. Can you relate last year and maybe some of the experiences you guys went through last year to coming into this year? What did you take away from that?
I think just later in the season, we got to be better than we were last year. This year, we had a slow start, but that adversity should help us at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. Cole, I feel like we've been together in this league here for like 300 years. Eh? Do you feel like that? Do you feel like you've been in the SJ forever? Because, man, like 3 finals in a row, Centennial Cup. You ever take a second to just kind of reflect on how long you've been a Flin Flon Bomber now?
Yeah, Cohen Sampha and Luke Lepper remind me all the time how long I've been in the league.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And, obviously part of that is, you're playing D, you're a defensive guy. You've played in front of all sorts of good, incredible goaltenders. I guess just talk about what it's meant to this team. Obviously you guys believe in Kenny Marquardt. Mike has said that 1,000 times to me in private and in public that you guys believe in Kenny Marquardt in net. But what has it meant to the team to kind of have that 1-2 punch of Marquardt and Keeper right now?
Yeah, Keeps just came in and he's been awesome for us. Obviously, Kenny's stats probably aren't where he wants them to be, but those stats are also team stats, not just his own.
Love that. That is a captain's answer right there. I love that. Again, we talked about it. You've been in the league now. This is your 4th season, 3.5 years basically in the league. You're playing a lot right now with Nathan Schaefer. He's a Michigan kid. He's a rookie. You've been in the league for so long now. What's it like now that you're in your 20-year-old year playing with a fresh-faced guy like that? How's that been so far for you guys?
It's been good. I think I've been trying to help him out as much as he can. He hasn't played much junior hockey, so I've been trying to talk to him as much as I can and just help him out with whatever he needs.
Yeah, for sure. I mentioned talking to your head coach, general manager Mike Reagan at the World Junior A Showcase. One guy that we were impressed with, and Mike spoke very highly of, when you mentioned him just a second ago, Luke Lepper. As the captain of this team and as his defensive group partner, can you give us a sales pitch on just how good Luke Lepper is on the ice?
Yeah, Leps is awesome. He's a very good skater. He's got awesome hockey IQ. I think he improved quite a bit from last year, too. He was awesome for us last year in the playoffs, but this year he just got more confidence, and you can tell out there that he is playing with more confidence.
Yeah, for sure. And, man, what a great skater. Can't think of too many guys that could skate, like maybe like a Xavier Lapointe, kind of comparison in terms of skating. And there's a name that you would know, Cole, obviously, but maybe not everybody these days. But those guys can skate as well as anybody that I've seen play in the SJHL. I got to ask you too, and I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form, like as a shot or anything like that. I'm just curious your perspective. I've seen it where coaches are involved with Canada West or Hockey Canada things, and obviously Mike, his work ethic, I don't need to tell you, is second to none in this league, and he cares about Flin Flon in a way that is hard to put into words, I'm sure, but his attention to some degree has to have been split between the Bombers and Hockey Canada and Canada West. I guess, how have you kind of seen that from him in terms of trying to give you guys everything he has and giving that program everything that he has?
Regs has done an awesome job. He hasn't talked about Canada West to us too much, just little things here and there, but his main focus right now has been on us when he's around the rink with us. I'm sure he's dealing with the Canada West stuff away from the rink. So, it's awesome to see that he gets that opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And, talking about opportunity, and again, I feel like you've kind of had the same leadership, big minute munching, penalty killing, physically dominating role since the first game that you played in the league. But I guess I wonder, how has your game developed over the 7,000 games that you've played in Flin Flon Maroon? Because it's been a lot, but how have you developed?
Yeah, I think I've developed pretty well. My first couple of years, I was focused on penalty killing and be a defensive guy, but the last couple of years, I've been trying to make my game more of a two-way game.
So 169 games, just for the record, regular season. But I guess if you add playoffs, it's probably close to 7,000.
And Centennial Cup, as you can see.
Yeah.
Loved calling the Centennial Cup in Estevan there in 2022. That was a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. Cole, Shellbrook, Saskatchewan. Can you tell us a little bit about your hometown? I mean, you don't hear of a ton of people coming from Shellbrook, but at the same time, I feel like, is there not some pretty famous alumni that come out of there?
No, there's not too many alumni that come out of there. It's a small town. There's another guy that plays in the Western League, Ashton Furster, but it's a small farming community. There's not much going on there.
Except for 15th and current premier of Saskatchewan, Scott Moe. Scott Moe.
Yeah,
apparently.
I guess.
Do you know him?
Have you met Scott Moe?
I know Scott pretty well.
Yeah, I saw his numbers in your phone. You could just text him.
Text him.
Yeah.
Terry Simpson as well. Terry Simpson, also from Shellbrook. There you
go.
So a couple, but a little bit on the older side.
Do you have a bit of an ag background yourself, Cole?
Yeah, I live on a farm. It's more of a cattle farm, though.
There you go.
Still a farm.
That's all right. Well, you're going to be an article soon for Nugsy.
I'm always looking for guys that are involved with ag to write about. So
there you go. We always ask forwards about this, but I'm going to reverse the roles here. In practice, Cole, who's a guy coming in on you on a one-on-one? You're like, oh man, I'm either going to get burnt here, or he's going to beat me in a forechecking, like in a one-on-one puck battle or something like that. Who's a guy on your team that you're like, oh boy, here he comes?
I don't get beat too often.
That's
in practice,
a good answer. That's a good answer.
But one guy I don't like coming down on me is Joey Lees, because you never know if you're going to get hit with the puck with that guy.
Just shoots it right at you, huh?
Well, I guess I was wondering too, Tanner, like, you already hit your career high season high, I guess, in goals in a season in that one game there against Nipawin. Are you able to go through every single one of those goals? And do you remember every single one of those 7 goals that you scored over your career?
Yeah, I think I could go through them all probably.
Just give us a quick rundown.
So I scored 1 against Humboldt, 1 against Larange, 2 against Nipawin.
Yeah.
I think 1 against Melfort too.
Would you remember your first goal?
Yeah, I was against Humboldt my first year.
Do you remember who the goalie was that you scored on? I don't remember. I'm asking you. No?
No, I don't remember.
Okay.
There you go.
Fair enough.
But 2 power play goals in the same game the last time you played.
How about that?
Yeah.
Not bad.
How about that? What's your do you hope to maybe reach double digits in goals by the end of the year, Cole? Or what do you think for the rest of the year? What are you reaching for?
Yeah, I've been trying to shoot more pucks lately, so I'm hoping I could get up in that double digits.
Hey, pucks on net, you never know, especially with the guys in front blocking the way there with all the traffic in front of the net.
Give Noah Hoole a little call, get some tips.
Noah Hoole could give you a couple tips. Cole, 8 games left until the Christmas break. Yorkton this weekend. You got 2 against Melville, 2 against Battlefords, then Nipawin once and Larange twice. What's the message right now in the room as you guys try to continue this winning streak as far as possible?
Yeah, I think it's just continue how we've been playing. We got to go into the Christmas break feeling good about ourselves, and if we can go on a bit more of a streak here, we could probably be right at the top of the league going into the new year.
Absolutely. Well, with the way the standings are right now, you guys are 1 good weekend away from basically being in second place. So it's crazy. So anyways, Cole, thanks for joining us today. All the best in the coming weeks, and have a good Christmas break as well, and we'll chat with you down the road.
Yep, thanks for having me, guys.
All right, there he is, Cole Tanchuk, Flin Flon Bombers captain. I love that answer. Who are you worried about one-on-one? I don't get beat very much, so no, not really anybody. Love that answer.
Love it. Hey,
Love it.
I was watching a little clip on Instagram by Matthew McConaughey. He was talking about how we need to be a little bit more full of ourselves and not in an arrogant way, but just in a self-belief way. Like, I am here, I deserve to be here, I am good at what I do, and not tiptoe around, but believe in yourself.
Sure.
And Cole Tanchuk has that.
He
so
just
I love
did it.
that.
I saw a clip of Matthew McConaughey talking about his tuna salad recipe.
Okay.
That was also an interesting one. I'm not a tuna salad guy.
Cooking,
yeah. Interesting. It sounded good. Newsy, there's a trade. Do you want to talk about the trade?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't know the details. You knew the details.
Throw
so
up
you
the
tell
graphic.
Me.
Yeah. So Willem Terword, he was in the BCHL actually, and so I guess he left and his rights were belonging to Olds, and so Weyburn picks up, a defenseman with experience and size. They're looking for a little bit more grit and sandpaper and guy with junior A experience, I guess, on the back end. And obviously Cody Mapes loves to make his moves. He just acquired, of course, the rights to Braden Sinclair as well. So, Willem is a guy, again, that has a lot of junior hockey experience at high levels. And, I think Weyburn was looking for that a little bit more experience. So, remember, if you mention the SJHL, when you go into Capital Automotive, you go in and you mention the SJHL, you get $1,000 on the value of your car on a trade-in. So that's pretty good. And we thank Capital Auto. I know Kamish and some other people driving around the Capital Auto cars with the big SJHL logo on it. So always good to see that. And Weyburn making another move.
So this is a 6'3", 205-pound defenseman.
Yeah, not bad.
He's a 2005, so he's 19. So they got a year and a half of this player. Left-handed shot. And, Weyburn is a team, I think, that now, after this move, it's like, okay, if they were to make another move at some point, because Cody's not shy, let's be honest, I don't see too many holes. I don't know how this player is going to fit in necessarily. We'll see. We'll give it some time here before we make a huge judgment call. But I think this is a really nice addition to what they need. I mean, they're obviously able to score a lot of goals. This player has not historically put up many points from the blue line, but sometimes you just need that rock solid guy back there, and it sounds like this might be a good fit. Yeah,
but 56 games of BCHL experience, so the speed of the game won't make a difference to him. And there's plenty of guys, and I wanted to mention a guy that the Hounds just acquired. We talked about trades, David McCorster. I think he's been just wonderful in the fact that there's guys that we talk about that, are playing their best when you don't notice them.
Yeah.
And I think that might be this guy here for Weyburn, is that they need a guy that they don't notice because he's just doing his job, gets on the ice, the other team doesn't score, gets off the ice.
Yeah.
And I think, Weyburn has a lot of very exciting players, very electric players, exciting players. They need more guys maybe that just don't get noticed. And that's, that's Willem. And the fact that he's not 20 obviously is huge.
Never
and there's
hurts.
a lot of GMs around the league that are like, how can we find a 19-year-old or a younger defenseman that has experience and make an impact? Hounds find McCorrister, Weyburn found Turward. I'm sure there'll be more, but guys are being creative to find these guys.
Yeah, and I mean, on top of that too, obviously Weyburn's been, at the peak or at the max 20-year-olds all year. So it's, it's tough to add, like you said, a guy with experience, a guy who can play in the league and do well and make an impact, and maybe they just did that. So time will tell. We'll keep an eye on that one though. Nugsy, before the show started, you asked a question to the social media universe to basically ask us questions, and you got a few. So do you want to go into those now? It's time for fan questions with Nugsy.
Questions. Yeah, really exciting. Well, it's not just with Nugsy. You're here
no,
too,
I'm here
Clark.
too.
We can talk about it. But I got 3 questions. It was really cool, and I appreciate it. Send questions to Clark or I or anytime. We'd love to engage on socials. I guess 2 of them are more kind of serious hockey ones, and one of them is more of a fun one. Do we want to go to serious or fun first?
Let's start with a fun one.
All right, well, let's go with the fun one. Kyle Adamson, the governor of the Kindersley Clippers, asked me and you, if you were stuck on a deserted island with any SJHL coach, who would it be and why?
Yeah, so I thought about it, and I was like, man, this is a tough one. And then I was like, this isn't tough. The guy's name is Killer Kaminsky.
Oh.
I would definitely take Killer Kaminsky with me. I think if you're looking for survival, you're looking for a tough guy who can maybe make some hard decisions and help you survive. I'm picking Killer Kaminsky. And no offense to any of the other coaches. Yeah. Just saying. His name's Killer.
It's a great call.
Yeah.
I love all of them, and I'm going to cheat and take 2. I'm going to take 2, and you can kill me. That's fine. But again, I love all these coaches. They've all been so gracious to me. But the 2 I'm taking, one is Willie Mason.
Okay.
From the Weyburn Red Wings.
That's a good call.
That guy is
I
kind of
didn't. I didn't think about the assistant coaches as much as I probably needed to.
If you need a brawl or something, like there's nobody else that I would want. Nicest guy in the world as well. Would give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
So Willie Mason, the assistant coach of the Weyburn Red Wings.
Fair enough.
Has so many tools in his toolbox too. He's outdoorsy and whatnot.
That's a good point.
And so Willie Mason, and then just Clayton Jardine. Just love to chat with Clayton. Like on our when the Clippers were in town and the weather was bad, the Clippers let me jump on their bus. He's like, no problem at all. And it was really fun because he and I had such deep, interesting conversations. Like we were talking about the difference between invention and creation, and just all these really interesting topics. And it's never a boring chat with Clayton Jardine. So I'd be very entertained to talk to Clayton for hours, and I could. And then obviously Willie can kill a bear for us and feed it to us.
There you go. Good point.
Yeah.
You know what? I've talked to Killer a few times. I don't think I'd have any bad conversations.
Oh
with
no,
Killer
there's no wrong answer here. All right, second question. It was kind of a question, I believe, by Sal Woloshin up in Flin
Yes,
Flon.
I saw this one. Yeah.
Just sort of asking about the loopholes around signing affiliated players.
Mm-hmm.
Loopholes is kind of a funny question or word because it's not, there's rules. You either break them or keep them, and you break them. Hopefully, you get punished, and if you don't, then you're fine. So that's the way it works. So I wasn't really 100% sure about the spirit of the question.
Mm.
There was an injured player, I believe that was on an AP card up in Flin Flon because, he wasn't playing, so they put him on an AP card, and he played, and that's Landon Alexander. But you see it a lot, of course, over the years where, a guy comes back and you get a junior B team to agree to have him technically on their roster, but he's with you and you play him. And the thing about that is you have to be economical with how many games you play him, because then that kid can only play 10 games until his junior B team or whatever is eliminated from the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, as long as he's from Saskatchewan, you can do that. So, that's the rule. You can only affiliate Saskatchewan players in the SJHL. So it's not a loophole. It's just the rules. But as long as that junior B team is okay, and I'm sure you compensate them somehow.
Yeah, there's probably something there.
Then you can do it, and you can only play them 10 times. But it is what it is.
That's the biggest thing, and maybe that's what Sal is asking is, you can't play a centerman. Let's say it's a centerman, whoever it is, and you can't play him 45 games as an AP.
Right.
There has to be, you play 10, he can't play anymore under that designation. You'd have to then put him on a regular team card in order to play him anymore. So I see what Sal is saying, where he says, maybe it's a way to get an extra player on your roster without having them carded.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's not really. I mean, you can't do it for the full season. You can do it temporarily, but I don't think any coaches out there I'm going to get this. I'm going to get one over on the league on this one.
Yeah.
It's not really like that.
Well, it's not getting it over. It's just using the resources at your disposal, and you have a partner at the junior B team, and I guarantee you all 12 teams in this league have junior B coaches on their phones.
Just say, hey,
say,
cool with this?
can I throw this guy on your roster?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
It doesn't happen very often either. It's not like teams are doing this every year, like I said.
And if you're basing your team's success on one of these guys, with no disrespect to any of them, then you're probably not in great shape, and it's more of a kind of an emergency thing or whatever. But with one exception, which I don't want to get into right now. Actually, we can talk about another time. But it's not a loophole. It's just the rules. So it is what it is. All right, last question.
Yes, sir.
Last question. Tony Pellerin with the question. I've had this question a lot.
Yeah.
With the NCAA and CHL ruling, the exodus in and out of the BCHL, mostly to the Western Hockey League, though Western Hockey League kids are also going to the BCHL. Does any of this pose any issues for the strength and quality of junior A leagues, specifically in Saskatchewan? I'll let you get first crack.
I have some thoughts on this for sure. And, in speaking with Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, I almost said McIntosh. Commissioner Kyle McIntyre, his name's not McIntosh. He says that this league is, number one, it's focused on making players complete people, complete humans, moving them on and getting them into a good position to succeed in life. And I think that the SJHL has always been that. It will continue to be that. That's the foundation of what I'm about to say. For years and years and years, this league has always given great opportunities to players who need it and who want to find success at this level. And in saying that, before this ruling, I'm going to even go as far back as before the BCHL did their thing. Players would leave the province for other leagues, and some of them would come back. And if they come back, they were usually in a very successful position. I think of two players specifically. When I worked with the Estevan Bruins back in the day, Turner Ripplinger and Ty Barnstable were young players in AAA at the time, and they were Estevan Bruins property. And they decided to go out to BC because they were promised this, this, and this. They played half a season or so and ended up coming back because the opportunity for them here was better. So I know that there's these bright lights right now with this whole NCAA thing and the CHL thing. And obviously I think the underlying message behind all of this is it's much more of a player's universe now. Players have more choice, which I think is great. That's awesome. I think it's been restrictive for a very long time across the board, and it wasn't necessarily fair to those young players who had to make a really tough decision at the age of 14 or 15 years old. And I think the overarching message from a lot of the analysts that we've talked to across the board and other shows that we do and all these other things is, I didn't know what I wanted to do at 14 years old, 15 years old, let alone make a decision that's going to affect the rest of my hockey career. So in that sense, I think that opens up everything. It's nice. It's good for everybody. At the end of the day, I truly believe that the SJHL and junior A hockey as a whole will be fine. I think that the quality of hockey player across Canada and everywhere, really, because we see players from the States coming up here. We see European players coming over, and I think there might be more European players coming over just in general for junior hockey now that this ruling has happened. And I just wonder, I don't worry, I should say, that the quality of the SJHL is going to dip at all, because at the end of the day, Sure, maybe a couple players might find other opportunities that maybe they think are better for them or whatever happens to be. But there's always going to be room for opportunity, and there's always going to be players that want to take advantage of that opportunity, and the SJHL is a great place for that to happen. So I don't believe that this is going to make the quality of junior A hockey in Canada suffer. I think it's going to be just fine, as it always has been. It always is strong. And I just think that now the players have more opportunity to make decisions that are good for them, and that's good at the end of the day. So there's my little, I hope I answered the question.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, just in hockey, just like in life, change happens, and you can rage against it and get anxious and get upset, or you can just accept what is and worry about what you can control and, ask God for the grace to understand the difference between what you can control and what you can't.
Yeah.
We can't control anything that the BCHL does. The Hockey Canada can't control it. Nobody can. They can make rules up as much as they want. They can make a rule where everybody's got to chew bubble gum while they're playing hockey, and they could just do that, and that would be the rule in the BCHL. So nobody can control it.
That would actually be a pretty cool rule.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it'd be very safe because you could get hit and swallow it and choke.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
That would not be so good. Don't do that, BCHL. But I'm just saying, don't rage against change, because what can you do? You can't do anything about it. The only thing that is maybe, that's too bad about this is the bubble guys in the SJ who are maybe 19 or 20, who, could they sneak into an NCAA D1 team like an Aiden Hutchinson did and a Ryan Dugan? Not sneak, because they were amazing and they did a great job and they earned it.
Sure.
I don't mean sneak like that. I mean, could, those types of guys, I think about, like a Caden Drury or even a Liam Hunks, these veteran guys. Is it harder now for them to get that, sort of last-ish D1 spot? 100%, because those schools can, just pick a 20-year-old from the Dub, pick a 20-year-old from the Q, or whatever, and they are. So that is too bad, because I want those guys to have that opportunity. A guy like Jackson Herchak, and he said it to Scott Roblin, he said, hey, like, I could go somewhere. I could go USHL. I could go whatever. But I know I need ice time to develop. I need, good coaching. We have great coaching in our league. We have great developers. Yeah. Opportunity is so important. The where you are is important, but it's not as important as making sure that you're on the ice getting reps. And Jackson Herchak understands that. Lots of guys understand that. Hopefully, to me, it opens the door to a level of hockey that's very good and very close to my heart, and that's U Sports. It's kind of where I got my start in hockey media, is U Sports. So the SJHL will always be great entertainment. Will continue to be. We have great coaches, communities that care. Like, the passion for this league is something we can never take for granted. I've been in other leagues, junior A leagues, the OJ, been around the CC, I've been around other leagues. The passion for their leagues, with no disrespect to them, is not even close. So we have a great product. I don't see it hitting the quality of hockey, as you said. Just maybe the total amount of D1 commits will go down. Might be harder to come by, but hopefully more kids consider, U Sports and really good D3 schools, which there are plenty and continue to grow as well. So there's more options for kids, I'll say, but there's more spaces for them to land to, and so it's totally fine. I understand it's not my job or your job to recruit kids, so I get that. That our perspective is different.
Yeah,
but I'm not worried about it.
Now, if I can just say one thing that, as you were talking about, I thought about it. I'm not hiding anything here. I work for the Rod Peterson Show on a weekly basis.
You do?
I do. Yeah, I'm the guest booker.
How about that?
And we had this week, this is actually very timely that this comes up, Sean Hogan, who is the executive director of College Hockey Inc., which is it's a private organization that helps players find college hockey spots. They cover it. They put out news, all this blah, blah, blah. He said something that I found really interesting, Nugsy, and that is right now the CHL players that are eligible now to get NCAA scholarships can only get NCAA Division I scholarships. They can't get Division III. But the way he said it was, this is maybe an opportunity for us to now give more schools an opportunity to become Div 1 schools. Now, what this could mean is, yes, in the current realm and the current regime of how many Division 1 opportunities there are, sure, maybe there's a few less spots available for certain guys. However, if this gets to a point now where they're going to add 5 to 10 to 15 Division I schools that are currently Division III or ACHA or whatever league they're currently in, and they become Division I programs, more opportunities.
There are 600 huge schools in the
Absolutely.
States.
There's how many Div 3s could easily become a Division I and handle themselves.
Or just have club or whatever.
Right.
Like there's going to be, in the future, there's going to be like a whole California loop of Division
There's a whole
I.
Pac-12.
Like UCLA and Cal and Stanford. Like they're going to have D1 hockey teams.
That's what I mean. And if you're a fan of football, there was a Pac-12 conference with the schools you just mentioned that don't have hockey programs, or if they do, they're not really.
Can you imagine? Hey, like we would like you to
San
come
Jose
play.
State
No, we'd love you to come
USC.
play D1 hockey at USC.
Yeah.
What do you think? Yes.
Yeah.
UCLA. Yes.
So I mean, as much as the current landscape is how it is currently, I think what this is going to end up doing is it's going to open up the landscape so much more even now than it currently is, and I don't worry, because I think at the end of it, once we look back on this 5, 6, 7, 8 years from now, we're going to say there's just as much opportunity. Our league is just as strong as it was, if not maybe stronger. We'll get to that point. But I think right now, obviously, people are nervous because there's a lot of unanswered questions. But I think, hey, you know what? Let's just, like you said, it's out of our control right now. Let's let it play out. I think at the end of this, it's positive for the players. And at the end of the day, we're here for the players.
100%.
So, yeah.
That's it. That's the key. We're here for the players. I do acknowledge, and again, we're friends with coaches. We're friends with recruiters. Like, you're trying to grow your brand as a person, as a professional, by like you're in conflict with this team and that team and this AJ team and this USHL team for this young player, and did it make it a little harder maybe for you to bring him to the SJ? Mm-hmm. Like, we recognize maybe that's the case, but hopefully Clark and I and everybody here do a good job of showcasing the league. Yeah. You out there coaching do a great job with your community and organization. And I said to somebody, like, the kid that stays here in the SJ is here because he cares and loves the community, and I think that is way undervalued. We don't give these kids enough credit.
Absolutely.
Loyalty and happiness are just way undervalued and not in the hearts of these kids, and that's what I would say. Like, if you're happy where you are, if you're happy on the Yorkton Terriers, if you're happy on the Flin Flon Bombers, then don't take that for granted. Like, enjoy the happiness, enjoy the community and the opportunity that you have.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, I think an underrated thing for all of this is that, okay, let's say, I don't know how many kids from the CHL are going to get scholarships. Let's say 20, 25. I don't know. Let's just use that as an example because it's just going to prove my point.
Many.
But that just means that those 20 to 25 kids are now not in U Sports, and U Sports is such a good league that, junior A players should be more than happy to be in, because that you're getting really good Canadian education. These are all really good schools that have programs like this. Sometimes it's closer to home for your family to come watch, and that's opening up a whole world of opportunities that, what do we have yearly? Like, I don't know, a good chunk of SJ kids go to U Sports, but let's maybe say it doubles. That's fantastic for U Sport. That's fantastic for our league.
Yeah,
et cetera, et
and
cetera.
on the other end of U Sports, so many of their kids are going straight to pro hockey.
Right.
Like the East Coast Hockey League watches U Sports hardcore.
European leagues.
Like European leagues, AHL, they're watching
There
U
are
Sports.
so many opportunities out there to move on.
Because you're facing pros. You're facing these guys too. So,
absolutely. Sorry, what was that, Ryan? Ryan is saying, "Hey, what's the next topic?"
Yeah, he's done. We're done.
We got to get out of here. Yeah, we're running the clock on this one. Let's have a look at the weekend here, gentlemen. Friday, of course, there was 5 games scheduled, but it is now 4. Humboldt at Weyburn, that has been moved to Monday. Obviously, again, I said with the arena issues that they were dealing with in Weyburn, they'll get that handled. They'll play it on Monday. But Yorkton is in Nipawin to play the Hawks. Estevan's heading to Notre Dame to play the Hounds.
No, they're going to be in Carlisle.
Carlisle, sorry, you're right. That is a neutral site game. Thank you for reminding me about that. Melville will be in Kindersley to play the Clippers, and Battleford's Melfort, the top 2 teams in the league all of a sudden. That's a big one on Friday. On Saturday, Weyburn's going to be in Estevan to play the Bruins. The Highway 39 rivalry is alive and well, folks. Nipawin will be in Humboldt. That should be a great one as well. Yorkton and Flin Flon. Holy cow, is that going to be a good game? And Melville and Kindersley. There's a lot on the line with that one. So it's going to be an interesting weekend, Nugsy. Anything you're looking forward to specifically?
Yeah, it's going to be great. Highway 39, gotta love it.
Gotta love it. I'm looking forward to that Melville-Kindersley one because right now they're neck and neck tied in the standings, and I think that could be one of those fork-in-the-road games where one team goes one way and one team goes the other. We'll see. But it's going to be a great weekend, guys. Make sure you get out to the rinks. But if you can't, we got you covered here on all of our social media platforms and Flow Hockey. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and of course on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. I think we're over 1,500 subscribers, people. So I can finally stop bugging you guys. We hit the mark, but please go and hit that subscribe button if you can. And thank you once again to our sponsors, Cantera Seeds, Borgo, Capital Auto Mall, Sask Lottery, Chevrolet, Saskatchewan Construction Safety Association, Nutrien, Tourism Saskatchewan, Sask Energy, UPL, SGU, Great Western, SGI, and RBC. Keep it locked on SJHL.ca. We're going to have a lot for you over the weekend. And get out to the rinks, guys. The hockey is going to be so great this weekend. 8 games across the province. So hope to see you at the arena supporting your teams. Next week on Monday, SJHL Weekly will be back. We'll recap the weekend. And we'll have a special guest. But until then, get out to the rinks. Enjoy the hockey, everyone. For Clark Monroe, Jamie Neugebauer, Ryan and Bryce in the back, thank you guys for hanging with us through all of that.
Yeah, keep your pants on, Ryan.
Get that beef squabbled, guys. The 2 beefs. Yeah.
Just keep updating my fantasy.
You're right.
Numbers. All right?
You're right. We got you. But until thanks. Until Monday, enjoy the hockey, everyone.